Pastor Russ here with Hope for Today. Many of you are aware that prior to moving to San Diego 33 years ago to start New Hope, Janie and I were in San Francisco. We were attending graduate school there, and while in graduate school, we were asked to join the staff of the First Chinese Southern Baptist Church of San Francisco. They asked us to be their youth pastors. And after being there for about a year and a half, they wanted to start an English-speaking Chinese congregation, and they asked if I would do that, which I did. A few months ago, during COVID, like many of you, we were doing some cleaning out. I came across some of my early messages at First Chinese. This would be back in 1984, 85, 86. I firmly believe that when these people get into heaven, they're going to get a special merit badge for putting up and listening to those early sermons of mine. They were not very good, to say the least. But the people there were very, very gracious and very encouraging to me. Here at New Hope, virtually every week, I'll have people come and comment on the message meaning something to them. And I always certainly appreciate that. And the reason I appreciate that is because every one of us need encouragement. We all need to hear someone saying to us, we're doing a good job. Mothers of teenagers certainly need to hear that as they're trying to raise teens in a very difficult world. Husbands need to hear that they're being a good provider and protector of their families. Students need to hear that their parents know that they're doing their best and that they're proud of them. When I turned 50 years old, one of my life goals was to run a marathon. I researched marathons all across America to find the flattest course I could. I found it in Sacramento. And so I went up and I ran in what was called the Cowtown Marathon. As I soon discovered as I was running that particular race, that there were many other people along the race route other than just runners. There were many people on the sidelines, if you would. Some were family and friends that they were encouraging loved ones as they were running. They would have signs, they would have cowbells and yell and shout at them. At all the water stations along the route, there would be volunteers there who would always say, keep going, you're doing great. And certainly as you neared the finish line, there were a host of people who were there cheering you on those last few 100 yards that you could make and finish that marathon race. Such messages make a big difference in our life. Because let's face it, life is tough at times. We can all wonder whether we're doing a good job or whether we're making a difference with our lives. We can learn a valuable lesson from the great missionary Paul and a church that he founded in the ancient Mediterranean city of Thessalonica. In a letter he wrote back to them in 1 Thessalonians 5:11, he simply says this, encourage one another and build one another up. Yes, that's true. That's what we need to do. But the real kicker for me is what he said at the very end of that sentence. He said, encourage one another and build one another up, just as you are doing. Here was a church that got it. They were encouraging one another as they were running the race of life. We need to learn and to do that exact same thing. I want to encourage you today, look for people around you that could use a word of encouragement and be the one who gives them that word.